Breaking news live at 5. Emory University faculty now say they have no confidence in their president after campus protests and arrest raise questions over his decisions. Atlanta News First Patrick Quinn is live at 5 on the campus. So Patrick, they just passed this vote a little over an hour ago.
Carly, this is just happening right now on the campus of Emory University, and let me be clear, this does not remove Gregory Finvez from office, but this is one of the strongest statements that faculty here can make. No confidence in Emory President Gregory Finvez. This just happened within the last couple hours. 75% of the vote captured this feeling. Roughly 500 faculty, they weighed in on this. And of course, this comes all after last Thursday. 20 students and staff members, they were arrested as part of a pro-Palestine protest. Many staff members, they voiced their outrage ever since, saying police being called was unnecessary and only ignited the tension. So early this week, a vote was called by faculty at the College of Arts and Sciences, and the results were just tallied tonight. Here's what their motion says. It's pretty blunt. The faculty condemns the decision by the administration to summon the police, condemns violence and the use of force, condemns the arrest of students and faculty, and abhors the false statements by President Finvez and other members of the administration. The motion goes on to say that they want any staff members or students who are arrested to have their charges dropped. Now, I reached out to Gregory Finvez and the university administration this evening. We have not received comment. What we have learned just within the last half hour is now students here at Emory, they are moving forward with a vote of no confidence against Gregory Finvez. Their vote starts on Monday with tallies. Their votes being tallied on Tuesday. We'll see what the results show there. From Emory, Patrick Quinn, Atlanta News First.